The last two episodes that the One Piece anime has dropped has been arguably the best stuff we have gotten in the anime. And after having some time to process it, I wanted to not only talk about what makes these episodes so special, but along with analyzing Luffy and Lucci's characters leading up to this point and how this fight pushes them and the greater narrative. Before even talking about this though, we need to discuss their first fight and their past history. Let's start with who Rob Lucci was, which was a man who had his own sense of justice and philosophy. He believed anyone who was against the system should be punished, no questions asked. He will do no matter what to fulfill and carry out his mission, even if it means disposing of the weak due to them not being able to carry out their certain task. Lucci as well doesn't really have any attachments to anything. Aside from his partners at CP9 and Zero, he kept to himself and brought what was justice, which as we know leads into him trying to carry out his mission in capturing Nico Robin, which a certain rubber someone has a problem with. Speaking of, we can now talk about Luffy, who unlike Lucci is a man who doesn't follow a strict code. Now, he does follow a code, but usually it involves in him doing what he believes is best, regarding of what the world or authorities of said world have to say about it, which obviously makes these two clash heads and starts the debate of if Robin deserved to live. This is an important thing to keep note of, as it does kind of bring Luffy and Lucci head to head and makes you really question what is justice. To Lucci, it's executing orders no matter the cost, and only the strong manage to do this, while Luffy is someone who pushes the idea of being as free as you want to be and live life with no regrets. While Lucci is an enforcer of rules, Luffy is someone who doesn't really care about the rules, even if it means the whole world being against you. And as we know, Luffy and Lucci would clash heads for a second time in Enies Lobby after suffering a humiliating defeat. He would manage to defeat Lucci in one of the hardest fought battles he's ever participated ever. Like honestly, besides the fight with Katakuri and Kaido, this is probably Luffy's hardest W to get. From clashing fists in base to Luffy using both Gear 2 and 3, suffering damage in his baby state and somehow still managing to keep up and stand, giving us one of the hardest finishers to any Luffy fight and any fight ever. Like, this man Lucci got hit with a Mortal Kombat Pro combo! This is where the story between these two seemingly ended. Luffy would go on to suffer a great loss in Ace and his crew and end up working the hardest he's ever worked to become one of the main faces of the pirate world today. And by the time these two encounter again, Luffy is a fucking emperor of the sea. But what about Lucci? What has this guy been up to? Well, Lucci, after his terrible loss, would go and get his team back up, which should at least show you he believes his team is strong and respects them enough to not dispose of them. And after this, would go on to train so hard he discovered not only hockey, but also awaken his devil fruit. And that's not even Lucci's greatest upgrade, which is his fit, cause oh my god, the all-white fit is crazy! He got that shit on him! Even after grinding for a couple of years and getting a whole promotion, he'd be faced against the strongest version of Luffy, who's now not only a Yonko, but literally attained like 4 other transformations before he fought Lucci. And I want to specifically talk about the anime, which just goes above and beyond to make a bunch of references to their first fight, which I honestly appreciate. And they go the extra mile to show just how much stronger Luffy has gotten. I feel like in manga format, it really didn't do it that much justice, especially given the week to week, and you see Lucci recover at the end and, you know, stab Sentomaru. But I feel like the anime just really brings this fight together for me. Like, this is one of these moments where the anime 100% enhances the manga. And honestly, since Wano, this is what the anime has been doing. They have been doing nothing but cooking so far. Now, I could talk more and more and emphasize how Luffy just stomped Lucci out, but that's not what I really want to do, and I want to also talk about the narrative aspect after this fight. So now I'm going to be approaching manga territory, so for those who actually care about spoilers, here's your warning. I can't believe I'm giving a spoiler warning. This is it's like my first genuine one. Wow. Anywho, Lucci, after knowing he can't win, would decide to attack Sentomaru in order to gain control of the Seraphim, which works out seemingly only for it to backfire, and he ends up having to aid Luffy fighting them. This is due to Stussy betraying Lucci, and as we know with Lucci's code of justice, he is not going to let this slide, which he decided to play the long game in aiding the others, giving the info to Kizaru slowly, and then betraying them when the time was right. So not only did the end Lucci get back on his associate, but he was even recognized by Kizaru as a very capable agent. However, Lucci unfortunately doesn't get what he originally wanted, which was to kill Luffy. Instead, he loses in a drawn-out fight with his second in command, that being Zoro, showing that Lucci still has a long way to go before even reaching Luffy's level. And even after Zoro and Jinbei seemingly finish him off, he reports everything to the Gorosei and would ask one of the Gorosei to specifically not hurt Kaku and begs for mercy. This is the last scene we see of Lucci currently in the manga, with the Gorosei replying with, "Oh, you know, people don't step on ants by accident," implying if Kaku dies, he doesn't really care. Even after Lucci carried out his mission the best way he could with a Yonko as his opponent, him and his comrade aren't even acknowledged by the people who created this whole justice for Lucci to enforce. And Oda could potentially give Lucci a character arc where he creates his own sense of justice and what he believes is right, as now he sees the flaws in the justice that he's enforcing. I would honestly really rock with this, especially if Kaku gets like critically injured and you have Lucci and Luffy working together to fight the government. It could really lead into some crazy stuff, especially given since Kaku is Lucci Zoro basically, and to see him care for his comrade, it not only shows that Lucci's actually grown from Enies Lobby, but again, Oda now has the opportunity to take Lucci's character into a completely unique direction. And the reason Lucci's character even went in this direction is because of the rubber idiot that he fought back in Enies Lobby. But maybe it's not because of Luffy's influence that Lucci changed. Maybe I'm just crazy. Or maybe I am a goat and I am a genius and I'm like Kanye West.